Okay. Read it again. I didn't even hear you.
What are your opinion on GLPs?
Um, so I mean, I obviously think there's GLP-1s, right, twos, and then there's obviously GLP-3 with Retta. I mean, with clients, I've obviously only ever used Retta, GLP-3. And obviously we see a lot of good health benefits from like improved insulin sensitivity, obviously fat loss, weight loss, um, appetite suppressancy and craving suppressancy, things of that sort. I would personally tell somebody if they're going to take something like that, rather have them take a Retta just because of the additional health benefits, of course, and um, as opposed to something like an Ozempic. You see a lot of people um like that take something like an Ozempic. What's the other one? Wegovy, right? And they like string out, right? And then they like almost look like they lose like all their muscle. And I think a big issue with a lot of the GLP-3s, and this does include, honestly, in my opinion, Retta as well. A lot of people jump on these because of lack of discipline, and they already don't have good habits in terms of like drinking enough water, knowing how to, eat on a day-to-day basis or exercise properly or anything of that sort. They don't have good, consistent structure for a healthy lifestyle. And then they just get on these things to kind of mask that. And then they get off of them, right? Because you can't be on anything forever. Then they get off of them and they gain weight back. And then like, what the hell? But my opinion would be before jumping on something like that, even Red or TrueTide, establish habits, establish good habits, how to eat, be consistent, right? I would say give yourself 6 months. I think you'd be pretty surprised at what you can accomplish without it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
um,
it's a crutch for sure for a lot of people. It's a useful tool, but it's a crutch for a lot of people.
100%
Yeah, well
without a
put.
doubt.
Holy shit, Matt's face is Giga Chad status right now, peeled.
It is.
Yeah,
I said
yeah, we get dug out for
I
sure.
said I said that earlier when we were on FaceTime. Your jaw,
Easy.
dude, is just in, bro. It's like your cheekbones are coming in.
Yeah, well, like I got asked if I was doing men's physique today, so I must be got the pretty boy look going on right now.
They
Um,
asked that strictly from the face.
yeah.
Fucking idiots. So stupid.
All right, cut phase. Scale up or down, but visuals improving. How do you decide push versus hold? Oh, okay. So the scale is up,
Okay.
but visuals are improving. How do you decide to push versus hold for more
So
fat loss, I guess?
So I think obviously we would have to ask ourselves, why is somebody's weight up, right? Is this a maybe somebody's 8, 9 weeks out and they're ahead, they're where we need them conditioning wise, and we give them a little bit of a diet break, right? Where we might increase their food and drop their cardio, filling their glycogen up over instead of like a day or two refeed, right? That's like a 7 day, it's a week. And I would ask ourselves then, like, hey, maybe we had a metabolic spike where the visuals changed for the better. However, of course, glycogen drew that weight up. At that then I'd be like, okay, well, we're going back in a week or so and or a few days and we're going to drop food back again anyway. So I wouldn't care that much. I think if the visuals are changing and we haven't changed anything, say, and they check in 1 week and then say they're 10 weeks out, and the next week they check in, they're 9 weeks out, the visuals change slightly and their weight's up, I would look at an inflammatory standpoint of say, okay, we just put 10 minutes of cardio in. Maybe they're just overstressed. They're putting on their check in. Let's see where their stress markers are at. Maybe their digestion has slowed down, being food's less. Maybe they haven't had a bowel movement in a day, right? Did they have a bowel movement before they weighed in that morning? So a lot of different things would go in. But if the visuals are changing and the scaling up a pound or two, obviously I would break down from a variable perspective the whys of as to why it could. And then if the visuals were changing, I probably wouldn't stress that, too much.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that.
Yeah.
We actually got this question, I think, last time we did the podcast as well, but
Okay.
I got it from somebody else. It's what is your favorite part and hardest part of being a coach full time?
What is what the
Your
favorite part
favorite
and
part and the hardest part of being a coach full time.
So I think last time we said pretty much our favorite part, obviously, is when you see a committed individual come in and from day one they're committed to the processes, right? Whether that's a diet phase or growing, whatever it may be, right? They're committed, they listen, they get their blood work when they should, they communicate well, and they just follow their plan. And you see them go from point A to point B, right? And whether that's 6 months down the line, a year, whatever it may be. Right? I think that's the best part of it, and just seeing how many people we can help, right? That truly actually listen and want the help. Um, the hardest part, I think we said right last time, was just having to adjust styles, and tangibles for so many different people because no two people are the same. So you've got to just be able to adjust and quickly too. You know what I mean? To just various questions, various feedback, you know, various blood work readings. So that to me is probably the hardest part, but I think it gets easier with more experience.
Mhm.
And also, one of the hardest parts too is when people don't check in on time, their money doesn't come out, you got to chase for payment. It just is what, you know what I mean? That is probably honestly one of the hardest parts because we work for ourselves. So,
Yeah.
and dealing with people's disrespect is definitely a hard part of it too. If I'm
Yeah.
being completely transparent.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're gonna deal with that in every
Of
career, no
course.
matter what
Yep.
it is. But yeah, I'd agree. I mean, favorite part is definitely just being able to help guide someone to be their absolute best and achieve their goals is a very fulfilling thing to do. And having a career built around bodybuilding, my passion, being able to do it in that field and specifically, I mean, I love it, right? It's my favorite part of being a coach, but the hardest part, yeah, I'd echo what Steve said. And also just like getting caught, like I don't know, we just end up getting caught up in drama. Like we're pretty popular coaches in our respective areas, and everybody knows everybody in the industry. And like you and I, truthfully, do put our best foot forward and are nice guys. Like we're all known for that. And inevitably, like there's always going to be some type of drama. And it's just fucking like, dude, we're adults. Like we have kids. We don't have time to deal with this bullshit. Like go
Yeah,
fuck yourselves.
I could
Yeah,
give a fuck.
it's just mad annoying. Um, it's just mad annoying. So yeah, that's one part that's pretty annoying about
Yeah, the
coaching.
amount of fucks I give about drama is like in the negatives.
Yeah, I don't have fucking time for it.
No, dude. We do
Thoughts
that.
on
We
what?
I was gonna say we do this every other week because like we enjoy doing it, but if we had more time, we'd probably do it every week. And we just,
Yeah.
we just don't have the fucking time.
hmm Thoughts on standing close grip supinated bicep curls? Yay or nay?
Close grip,
Yeah.
supinated bicep.
Yeah, I mean, I think doing it entirely supinated with a straight bar might be putting a little too much load on your bicep because you're like really supinated at that point if you have a close grip. So I think you're putting your tendon at risk. So if you are going to do it close, I would do an easy bar close grip supinated curl. Um, and in terms of it being the right movement for you, I think biceps are one of those muscle groups that it's so dependent on like your anatomy to determine what movements really work well for you. Because I guarantee you what works for me is not going to work for like most people. Like a Superman curl is like an adjusted Superman curl is like one of the best movements for me. And I objectively don't think it's a great movement, but for
Is
whatever
that a
reason.
spider? Oh, you talking about like the up overhead, kind of the cable?
Yeah, but I'm doing it more kind of like I would say like 45 degrees out in front of me. And I'm doing
Okay,
it
okay.
like this, but it's like pure muscle belly, it's really good. I don't know, just with the injuries to both my biceps. I've had to really structure my training around what works for me. I think if you're hitting the muscle group with slow negatives, honestly, moderate load. I don't think arms is something you should be blasting crazy heavy weight on just for the risk of uh, fucking tears.
Yeah,
You do put a lot of demand on our soft tissue in our arms because we use them for everything. But in good form, you hit them multiple times a week, and you got some good movements you connect well with. Like inevitably, they're going to grow.
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Favorite flavored sugar-free diet soda. It's easy,
It's
easy
Diet
question.
Coke. It's Diet Coke. It's
Easy,
just,
yeah. There's
that
no
is
other answer.
the flavor of Diet Coke.
What does it feel like being the thickest dad I know? Feels great.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll elaborate a little bit on this. So,
Elaborate.
I mean, you also are the thickest dad I know. So, um, so I think me and you were talking about this before, like a few times, just like bullshitting, right? And it's crazy because like when I go in and I pick the kids up from like daycare, and like there's like a couple sometimes, there's like another dad or two, and they're picking up or dropping off, whatever. And I like look at these dudes, and I'm thinking in my head, like, not trying to be like rude or anything like that, but like they're all dressed like nice, they got all like these suits on and shit. I'm showing up in slides, like high socks, fucking with a hole in them, like for Walmart clothes on, and like they're all like 130 pounds. And I'm thinking in my head, like, what do these guys do? Like, does anybody exercise anymore? Like, is there any jack dads out there anymore? Like, that's like literally like a thought in my head because like you don't really see like you don't gotta be 240 pounds like us, but like you don't really see like dads with like big arms anymore, like big shoulder. Like doesn't look like they work out.
Yeah, I would say it seems like in the older generation, the the old guys that would just fucking bench and do curls like don't exist as much anymore.
Dude,
But
those guys were yoked. Those guys were
back in the
fucking
day, yeah,
jacked. It's
there was always the Jack Dads. But I mean, now we're the Jack Dads. But I
crazy.
remember when I went to Disneyland a couple of years ago, walking around and like again, not to be mean, just objectively, I think as a man you should be able to protect your family, right?
I,
If
I
something ever went down,
that's not mean. That's a
this is just the
legitimate
fact, right?
statement. It's a
Like if
fact. Yeah.
there's a shooting, you gotta be able to pick up both your kids and fucking run and
Yes.
do all you
Absolutely.
gotta do. And it's like you walk around and it's like you see some of these people are so out of shape and like dude, if something pops off, you can't protect your family. That's like your number one job. Period. End of
Yeah, I
story.
agree. I
So I
agree.
do think like as a man, you should be physically fit to some capacity, to be able to keep your
Yeah,
family.
like I said, you don't got to be 200 plus pounds of muscle, but like, CrossFit, running, like karate, jiu-jitsu, something, you know what I mean? But be in
And if you
some
don't
type
want
of
to get
shape.
into that, at least get a concealed carry permit.
Yeah, just have guns.
Okay, next question. How are you feeling? Me? Uh, excited. I'm feeling really excited. I'm so 16 days out, something like that. I'm tired for sure, but training intensity is still pretty good. So I'm feeling good. How about you, Steve? How are you feeling?
All right. Man, I guess I'm all right. I'm a little sore, but I'm excited to get training kicked off here. As of now, it looks like, well, you know this, but looks like I'll be the plans to get back on stage next year, and nobody will know what show. Matt will know, Sam will know, a couple others, and I'm just gonna show up. But
Mm,
Matt's gonna be writing my training for me, and as always, OG Johnny will be doing everything else, nutrition, supplements, all that good stuff. So getting things kicked underway. I'm excited, but other than that, I feel okay.
yeah, it's all true. I saw his, I had him FaceTime me yesterday, go through his mandatories
Yeah, I was
so I could
actually
build his
naked.
training.
I was naked.
Yeah, well, that I didn't ask for
Sorry.
that part. He just showed up naked.
Yeah, sorry, Sam. Sorry, Sam. No,
All
what
right,
Matt said was time to pose nude.
pushing and pulling food in the off season. Why do it?
Pushing and pulling food. So, I mean, so very simply, right? Pushing food to grow, and we would pull back on food to reset sensitivity, appetite, metabolism. Very simple.
Mhm.
If body fat
Yeah,
gets a little too out of control.
I think pulling the food back in the off season is where a lot of people miss, right? They'll
Yep.
just blast all the way through. But to me, when I'm coaching somebody and we're going through a thick of an off season, they've been in it for a while, there's a few markers that I look at to determine is it time to pull back or are we good to keep pushing, right? First, body composition, right? If they're fat, obviously it's time to pull back because they ultimately are going to end up having some type of insulin resistance over time. They're going to build body fat. It's going to be harder for them to get in shape for prep, right? That's number one. Number two, their biofeedback on their digestion and their appetite.
Yep.
So if either of those start to go south, it's likely it's going to continue to go south unless you pull food. Sometimes it's a week, but sometimes it just turns into a mini cut and we're doing it for 6, 8 weeks, right? But maybe even more if they're having a good outcome, right? Time to tell. Everybody's different. The next variable is blood glucose as well. So obviously we'll have them be testing blood glucose when we're pushing their food out. Because if that marker starts to look consistently high, it means that there is something going on there. There is some level of insulin resistance. We put a lot of demand on your insulin. So if this is an enhanced individual, that doesn't always necessarily mean it's time to pull back food, right? If their body composition is in good check, that means it might be time to start implementing things like berberine, metformin, exogenous insulin to help keep that in check so that we can continue to yield the gains in this growth phase, right? And lastly, and I'm sure there are other things that we could go on about. The last one that
Absolutely.
is a really big one for me is blood pressure as well.
Yep.
Especially with enhanced guys where we're pushing into 240s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s plus, right? You gotta keep an eye on the blood pressure because, like, if you are putting on size pretty excessively, if you have like any genetic predisposition with which so many people, including myself, do, have genetic predispositions to high blood pressure, like you're going to see it when you're in a growth phase, blasting food, potentially pushing a decent amount of drugs, all this. So all of those variables are the main ones that I look at, those four. Um, and that kind of determines, are we going to pull back or are we going to keep pushing?
Yep. And just to add one thing onto that, I think there's just like such a misconception amongst just individuals who are uneducated that more food equals more muscle, and that is not the case at all.
That's a good one. Yeah, good
You
point.
don't need more, like, you know, you don't need 5,000 calories to grow. It's just bullshit. Sometimes the more food you actually add, the quicker you're just accelerating when fat's going to start accumulating. So everybody's individualized needs, like the more muscle you have, of course, the more food you're going to need to add more muscle on, but more food is not going to equal more muscle. Gaining a pound on the scale is not going to equal more muscle. I think you're what, up 6 to 8 pounds, right, from last year? And how much heavier was your off season?
I was 10 pounds lighter this off season.
My case in point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you've added like 5, 6 pounds of muscle. And for anyone who doesn't realize, sure, you might hear 5 pounds of muscle and not think it's a lot, but that's a fuck ton of muscle to add in a year. It's a fuck ton of muscle. You know what I mean? So again, more weight, more food doesn't equal more muscle.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really going to be so person independent as well as far as how hard you can push and
Yep.
whatnot.
Mhm.
And that's why I encourage you guys, like, if you get a coach and it's the right one, just stick with them for a few years, a few seasons at least, because the more seasons you have together, the more the coach learns how to manage you.
Yep.
And even like, for example, what I've kind of learned this off season is like, and just my past two preps, I've grown so much during the prep. And like, I'm in a deficit for most of that prep. Like, I didn't really start a true deficit probably until like 9 weeks out in this prep. I think just the added cardio got my metabolism going. But I grow so much during that first stage of a prep, and then I grow so fucking much in the first stages of a reverse. The second that I'm like over 5,000 calories for more than 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time, my digestion goes completely out the door. And then everything else falls to shit. I feel like shit in the gym, like I'm inflamed. I get gassed like a motherfucker when I'm training. So like going forward, I'm purposely gonna keep my food lower so that I don't experience that. I perform much better, I recover much better, and I'm frankly a lot stronger when I'm in a slight deficit. So I'm gonna keep, again, this is me and my coach trying to do our thing, but like we're going to keep the food very slightly above a maintenance level. Plus, I also have a weight cap to be concerned with next year because
Yeah.
if I blast,
Yeah.
I'm no longer going to be classic
Yeah,
next
you've
year.
heard you've heard some of the best bodybuilders. Remember I've heard an interview Chris Tuttle did like last year, maybe 2 years ago. He said his best two off seasons were the one right before he turned pro, and then the one right before I think he like cracked in like whatever pro show he did or whatever like that. And he said the difference was he didn't focus on blasting food. He kept his food in a spot where it was right above a maintenance phase. His digestion stayed perfect. His blood glucose stayed perfect all year. he could keep eating. And every time he went to go increase food, it was only like 100 calories on purpose, like every month or two. And he never had to mini diet down in the season at all to reset because his digestion, his appetite stayed strong, and his composition stayed good.
Yeah,
And
next
he
thing you
said,
know, he's starting his prep diet at fucking 5,000 calories to lose weight, right?
right, right. And he said that his refeed, it was the most food he ate within 8 weeks out of a show ever when he turned pro, because once his metabolism started cranking, because he started prep at 20 weeks out in a leaner spot, he could just start eating more into the show.
Mm. Yeah, dude, it was like the same exact thing with me. My food really
Right.
didn't change a lot. It's just we added cardio in and, some fat burners, and holy shit, all of a sudden my body started performing.
Yeah, it's
So I'm
crazy.
gonna do the same exact thing this year.
Yep.
Plus I objectively I have to because I'm not gonna make weight next year if I do blast.
Not with how much muscle you put on this past year.
All right,
Do
that was a
that.
good question.
You do that again, dude. You ain't make you. It'll be tough.
Yeah, I'm not doing open, so I'm gonna just my off seasons are gonna be very minimal,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice, honestly. I'm getting too old, bro. No, I'm kidding. If I really couldn't, push, if I was really like I had to suck down like unhealthily, I would do
Mhm.
open, but like I wouldn't do anything beyond what I'm already doing to get to another level in open. Like I don't want to be blasting crazy amounts of gear, to be honest.
Dude,
It
you
doesn't
would. Oh my
really.
God, bro! Imagine how heavy your off season would have to get. It would be so uncomfortable.
I'm just a hair under 6 foot. I mean, I'd have to be if I want to fucking win the
280.
Olympia, I would have to be like 285 plus on stage if I
Yeah,
want
that's
to
what I
win
said. 280, 285. Yeah,
it.
it's
Like I'm
crazy.
and I'm gonna be like somewhere around probably 225 to 227 on stage in New York.
Meanwhile, you got
Could
Nick
you
Walker. That's
imagine?
5'7", 280 on
Right.
stage. It's
Could you
fucking,
imagine there's 60 pounds on that? Like, no fucking way,
bro.
bro.
You would not feel good.
We should do a collab with Sam one day and talk bikini next time.
We could do it in two. Yeah, sure. We could do that in 2 weeks
And
as long as Sam's good with it. We could do that. Absolutely.
oh yeah. And Maureen, I owe you a message. I'm sorry. I've been crazy busy and a little prep brain as well, but I'd be happy to help you with what you asked. Sorry I haven't got back to you, but yes.
Oh yeah, Maureen. By the way, good. Congratulations on your show. You looked great.
Yeah, huge congrats. You got her OCB pro card.
I saw you. Congratulations. You look great.
Yeah, crazy good shape for sure. Um, Good question. When should I deload?
How old? I would say, how old are you? How banged up are you? I think for like,
How old are you? That's funny. That's the first thing that comes to mind, but it's actually such a good one.
it's so true. How long you been training? Like, I think for like somebody like you or I do with like all the years of training, the injuries, where we know each session we're in the gym, as opposed to just like a shitty day here or there, we're actually training, right? We're not just moving weight. We're not just in there to work out. We're actually training. Honestly, like for me, I would say fuck a deload week and just take off. Like because for me, when I go in the gym, it's just like I want to train, you know? So like for me to sit in there and be like, oh, let me calculate 63% of my, like fuck that. Like I'd just rather take off. I'd rather just take off, just not even stimulate the nervous system at all, not give it anything to have to recover from. Wake up, hit my cardio still, and just not train. Just take the week off. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And in terms of when, honestly, if you're training hard, and I would say anywhere between every 12 to 16 weeks.
yeah. So I guess it depends for me. Like if you're a natural athlete, it's something I'm more
Oh yeah,
cognizant
PEDs
of.
too. I was gonna say too.
And so I'm more cognizant of for natural athletes. But it's going to be heavily reliant on the feedback from the client because if their recovery is good, I'm not going to proactively just be like, oh, yeah, you take some time off, right? Like,
No,
keep pushing. If you're making progress, keep pushing. The body's more resilient than you think.
absolutely.
I'm not a big fan unless like you're doing some type of powerlifting, like that's different, right? I understand scheduled deloads for that to maximize your strength at certain points. Like I'm
Right.
talking bodybuilding programming. I'm not one to be like, all right, every 6 or 8 or whatever weeks take a deload because again, like if you're performing, I'd rather you just continue to perform. The body will accommodate a lot of stress. Especially if we're like in an off-season phase versus a diet phase. Diet phase,
Yep.
the deloads definitely do become a little bit more frequent. And whereas I have no problem telling somebody to take a week off, or if the client opts to take a week off, my general recommendation is like I personally think it's good to get in the gym to stay into the habit of it. And I do for myself when I do deloads, and for myself, I don't schedule deloads. It's just me listening to my body. Like if my knees are aching 1 week, like I'm gonna pull back on legs that week. If my whole body is aching, my lower back, I will just deload that whole week.
Yeah.
It's just listening to my body. It might be where, I don't have to do a full week deload of my whole body for every 6 months, but I might have to deload back and arms 1 week because my arms are, my biceps are bothering me. Or, I got to deload on push days because my shoulders are bothering me and shit like that. So it's very by feel for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
How often are you supposed to switch up your training? Not often at all.
My God, yeah. What the fuck, dude? The amount of times we get asked this, like by clients too. It's been 3 months. I'm not changing your training. Like now, I'm a lot better with just telling somebody straight up, like, no, there's just no way. If you're getting bored with training, I tell you, like, you need to understand that training is supposed to be very monotonous. It's just the same thing every day. If you change your training every month, how can you track, like, oh, I did 2 plates on this, and now a tens on there? That is progressive overload. So like there's no way now if there's a movement you're not feeling, I'll tell you, send me a video. If after 2 3 weeks we can't nail it down, that movement just might not work for you. Sure, we'll swap it, but like you don't need a new split and a new, you don't need to do 15 reps this month and then 10 stick to something for a year straight and go all in on it. I guarantee you'll see results, as long as everything
Yeah,
else is where it needs to be.
agreed. And there's no reason, especially for your split, to change because Steve and
No.
I structure your training around what body parts you need to bring up.
Yeah, and it ain't
And
coming
it's,
up in a month.
yeah, it's very unlikely that even in a year we're going to have to change that
Yep.
because all of a sudden your adductors are huge. Like it's happened, trust me, for
Yeah, right.
sure. It's happened where somebody's body part is blown up. It's not out of the question, but it's not that likely that one of your weaknesses is going to become one of your strengths in less than a year or more, right?
No.
Um, and to your point around progressive overload, so that's one of the most important parts of training alongside of intensity, right? And you get good at progressive overload by becoming masterful at whatever movement you're executing. It is a skill, right? To properly push up on an incline chest press machine using more pecs than anything else with a significant amount of load week over week, increasing that load. Like it is a skill over time.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't, I built my training probably 6 months ago. I probably won't change it for another year and a half. Like I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro, the training you give me, we're gonna fucking ride that shit all through prep next year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? But like, if I'm not feeling something, like,
Just swap it
you
out.
know,
It's not a big
you can
deal for
swap
a
it the fuck
similar
out. It's not
movement.
it's not a big
That's
deal.
the
But
other thing.
like,
Don't like worry so much. Like if somebody comes to me and they've been doing the same programming for 6 months and they've been doing a single arm, the unilateral lat pull down, and they're like, "Hey, coach, my gym just got a new Nautilus unilateral lat pull down. Can I use that instead?" Like, of course you can, dude.
of
Like,
course,
it's just basically the same movement. You know what I mean?
yes.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Awesome. Let's see what I got. I fucking put them in my notes here. In your guys' opinion, what separates a good coach from a great coach?
Someone that like actually cares. Because there are good coaches that like have great results and objectively know what they're doing and do what they do, but it's like second the show's over, you don't really hear from them.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're
you're
just
right.
you're just a good athlete to get on stage for more results to get more clients. We've seen that quite a bit, but I would say objectively, these people might be great coaches in their ability to deliver, but they don't actually give a shit about you. So I wouldn't quantify that as a great coach.
Yeah. So I think a very, very big difference between good and great is a great coach is very good with decision making under pressure. That I think is a huge one. You know what I mean? And when I say under pressure, fat loss stalls, right? Like the question that we had a bit ago, right? About like if weight goes up, right? If fat loss stalls or when to make adjustments, when to pull back, when to push, what look you are desiring at X amount of weeks out, right? How to fill somebody up, being able to tell the true difference between flat and full, or moderate full on a client. Like I think that's what makes a great coach, being able to not panic and being able to evaluate the situation at hand and making the proper adjustments. And if that adjustment doesn't work, they notice it as quickly as they can. They make another adjustment and they keep going until they figure it out. Um, and I don't think people can become great coaches within a year or two. I think it takes time.
Yeah, I think you said two things that were like really important there, and one is like putting a process behind problem solving,
Yes.
right? That was one piece, and the second piece was the detail around knowing when somebody's flat or full or this or that, whatever, right? Like that's the art piece of it. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of either born with it or not, the art piece of coaching, you know?
Right. Right.
Um, because this shit is not science, no matter how many data heads want to pretend it is. There's science to it, but this is definitely an art.
100%. Yeah. I mean, the decision making, I think a great coach too, like you kind of touched on with training, right? A great coach makes your training around what your weak points are, not just like giving you like a 5 day a week fucking bro split. You know what I mean? Um, things like that, sure. And then also, I think another thing is a great coach actually uses an individual's biofeedback and uses that to make adjustments, you know.
Yep.
So
Yep, I agree 100%.
yeah.
I'm thinking of somebody in particular that doesn't do that. But anyway,
There's
Matt, so
there's tons of that. There's
my
tons.
friend Matt in the chat here, he's local. His wife is the one that just signed up with me over the weekend. He popped in and said, touch on the Jack
Welcome.
Dad question. Matt's a homie, dude. He's the only person that's ever been able to identify where my font for my team logo came from. He's like, "You ever play Diablo?" I'm like, "Don't even fucking get me started, brother." But he was touching base on the dads protecting their families. He said there's an interview, and I've seen this one actually. There's an interview with predators that claimed that they are deterred from messing with kids that have visibly fit fathers. I know exactly what interview he's talking about. It was somebody who was a child predator that spoke. They interviewed him, and he said like he would avoid kids with strong looking dads. And it's like, yeah,
I
obviously,
believe
because
it.
it's
Yeah, no shit. You're gonna
just
get
those
fucked
shit,
up.
disgusting, freakazoid men that if a real man gets their hands on them, they're gonna
Bro,
fucking
I
break them.
would, dude, I would kill some. I would fucking kill
Yeah, I don't
some.
even want to go down the rabbit hole. Too much androgens in me right now. I'm gonna get all worked up.
Yeah, yeah. That's a different, that's a topic for a different time. But I do believe that 100%.
Oh yeah, for sure, without a fucking
Like,
doubt.
bro,
So
if you
it's not.
saw,
It
if
prevents
you saw,
a problem.
bro, if you saw Phil Heath in the supermarket with his fucking daughter, who the heck, no one's going up to that guy.
If you saw John Jones in the supermarket with his daughter,
No, dude, that guy he would literally kill you. He would literally,
and he wouldn't even try. He wouldn't even have to
no.
try.
So wait, sweet home. This on the John Jones topic. Did you see the video of him? He got somebody like hit his truck like last week or the other week. So I don't know if they knew who he was or not, but I don't know if he was John Jones was drunk or what. But he gets out of the truck and he starts walking up to the car, and the guy goes, "Yo, bro, what are you trying to get into tonight?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're an idiot, bro. You are fucking dumb. Like
Dude, that's the last person on the
this dude
planet.
will literally kill you with his fucking elbow."
I would rather fight like a wild animal than John Jones.
Dude, you would like I'm like this guy is like half number one, John Joe's a big dude. He's 6'6", 6'5", and the guy walks around at like 250, 260. He's not a small guy. And he's fucking strong. If that guy gets a hold of you, dude, or like kicks you in the face, you're dying.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he said, "What are you trying to get into tonight, man?" And John Jones is like, "Dude, I'm not trying to get into anything." But like, come on, dude. You got it. That's a death wish.
Yeah.
That AI makes me think of that AI picture I had made of us.
What
Remember?
about the AI
Remember the
picture?
AI picture? Me and you were fighting John Jones.
Oh my God, yes, of course I do.
We weren't winning. Don't worry, we weren't. Oh my God! All right, I had a somebody sent me a question about like like breaking fat loss plateau. Um, is it possible to break a fat loss plateau without dropping calories?
Yeah, I mean, there's other variables that we could play with.
Right.
Cardio, are we leveraging any type of fat burner or thyroid? If they're an enhanced athlete, Yeah, I mean, there are definitely other levers you could pull.
Yeah, 100%. If somebody is only doing 20 minutes of cardio and their food's at X spot, maybe 10 more minutes of cardio does the job. You know what I mean? Where you're just burning through a little bit more food at the current spot the food's at, you know what I mean? Versus having to drop food. The answer is not always less food. Sometimes it's a
Yeah.
little more cardio. Sometimes you can increase somebody's steps and they nail it down and they start to lose, So, um, yeah. Um, do you think that majority of people undertrain or overtrain or a little of both?
In the training.
Yeah, I was gonna say undertrained. So there's like all this bro science now of if you do more than 10.9 sets, you're overtrained. That is such bullshit. I would I
Yeah,
would bet like 98% of people are nowhere even close to being overtrained.
yeah, I agree. Like you really got to train fucking hard, especially if you're enhanced. I mean, it's more likely you're gonna overtrain being natural because you're not giving yourself enough time to recover.
Yeah.
But then there's always the people on the opposite end of the spectrum that go on about stimulating muscle protein synthesis more frequently because scientifically makes sense. But at the end of the day, you have to look at muscle protein synthesis into two perspectives, right? There's muscle protein synthesis, right, which is building more muscle, but then on the opposite end, there's muscle protein breakdown, right?
Yep.
And if the rate at which the muscle protein breakdown supersedes the rate of muscle protein synthesis, you're in a net negative. You're not going to build any muscle tissue, right? So
Right.
there's there are a lot of variables you can do to increase the rate of protein synthesis and slow down the rate of protein breakdown, but inevitably needs to occur. But
Yep.
um, yeah, I don't know how we got down this tangent, but it was a good topic.
Yeah. Um, what tips and advice do you give a client to manage stress?
Tips and advice to manage stress. Well, it's first is identifying what are the main stressors, and then I can provide proper guidance.
Right. So for this person, I would probably say, okay, they're a dad and full-time job, sometimes extra hours.
So it's going to be a time constraint issue, I'm
Yeah.
assuming here. Yeah, I mean, I would basically prioritize your day in terms of like your air, water, and food, right? What can you go today without? Meaning like your air, right? You can only go a fucking minute without air.
Right.
What can you go like a week without? Water, a few days, whatever. And what can you go a month without? Your food, right? Kind of prioritize your non-negotiables, what you have to do for work, for the family, and then start layering in your prep stuff, right? I mean, if you gotta wake up 10 minutes early to prep your food, do it. Like work with coach to have options in your meal plan where it's like maybe it's a shake versus a whole meal if you're on the go, things like this, right? Um, so it's really a matter of prioritizing your day for somebody like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think when it comes to stress, right, like Matt said, obviously identifying what the main stressor is, right? And the way I'll break this down for most individuals is okay, if you tell me it's work-related stress, there's nothing that I can tell you that's going to help that because you need your job, right? Work's not going anywhere. So the best advice I could possibly give you is you as an individual, I can't do it for you as a coach, have to learn how to leave that stressor where it belongs at work. And when you get out of there, work is work, personal life is personal life. If you can't do that, there's nothing else we can do for you. In terms of like you gotta stress management has to start with the individual. And I think that in today's day and age with coaching, a lot of people look to the coach to almost alleviate their stress. And like there's some like voodoo magic potion we have to give them, like that's going to just drop all their stress. That is something you as an individual have to work on yourself, right? Just like I can't make you sleep more. If you're only sleeping 5 hours a night, expect subpar progress. It just is what it is. Like you have to, like you said, dude, you got to set non-negotiables and you got to hit them. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? Like you used to train at fucking 4:35 in the morning because it mattered to you.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah,
really have
I
that
don't
much extra time though in the day? No, you fucking made it happen.
yeah, I don't have any sympathy for people that make excuses like that. Like
No.
I've been in the thick of it. I have two kids. I held a career while balancing a whole book of coaching. while doing my own bodybuilding.
Yeah, dude. You
I
gotta,
did it. I checked the boxes. So like I know what it's like, and it is you gotta make sacrifices for sure. And it sucks, but like if you really love it, then do it. If you don't fucking do it, you know?
yeah, nobody, man. I mean, even like from a lifestyle perspective, though, right? Like you're trying to get better, trying to be healthy, you're trying to lose weight. You got to set non-negotiables, getting your meals in, getting to getting a gym session in 4 times a week, right? You don't need to be in the gym every day, right? It's another misconception. 4 times a week, here's your cardio, here's your training, hit your steps every day. Instead of watching Netflix for 2 hours a night because it's de-wind time, go the fuck outside and walk. You know what I mean? Like take care of your health, but
And you
from a
should want to care about that. Like that, like
yeah,
bodybuilding aside, your health, I mean, mortality is real, right? Like if you're getting older and you're severely overweight, you don't even know what your lab work looks like because you never got it done. Like you have no idea what could be lurking under the covers. You should want to prioritize your health. You're going to feel better. You're going to look better. And as a result, people are going to respect you more because it is absolutely unconscious bias that people like fit people. They just do because you look better than most people on the planet, objectively. And it says something about your discipline and
yep.
self-respect that you want to invest in your health, right? Like I've worked in the corporate world enough and long enough to see many fit people go very high in their careers when maybe they aren't even the best in their line of business, right? It's just they're well respected, right? Um, and yeah, like if you have family, think about your mortality, like you don't want your kids to have a parent die young because once your health is fucked, nothing else matters at all, right? So
No,
prioritize your health.
no. Yeah, and if you prioritize your health, I bet you most people, and not everybody, most people probably will have better stress management too.
Yeah, for
Probably feel
sure.
less
A
stressed.
million percent. Yeah, because your mindset is going to just overall your mental
Yeah.
health is going to be better when you're fit for
Yeah, I
sure.
mean, there's, I mean, me and you don't have to say, there's tons of studies that show people that actually get to the gym X amount of times a week, physical activity, like it makes people their
Mhm.
cortisol drop. It's good for you. It's good for your fucking mind and your health. So, but yeah, to the stress question, we can't de-stress you. You got to work on that yourself. No matter what we say to you, you got to prioritize your sleep. You got to make it a habit to same routine every night, in bed every night at the same time. You got to do something, figure out something that unplugs your brain, right? Like, sh I think we've got into such a routine as a society in America that it just like, it's hard to unplug, right? Because there's all these shows, there's all these streaming services, there's social media, and people are like just, doom scrolling at 9 p.m. and they don't realize that they're stimulating cortisol without even realizing it, right? And then they can't go to fuck to bed. So it's like, set the non-negotiable so you're not only sleeping 5, 6 hours, dude, how many Americans do you think, dude, are just they're so used to feeling what shit sleep is, they don't even know what good sleep feels like.
Sure.
9 out of 10 people, I'd say, which is bad.
I'm
So
definitely one of them right now, so I can't
Sam
speak for
Costco and Diet Coke reels. Yeah, that's pretty. My whole Instagram is just Diet Coke, BMWs,
them.
Costco, Sam's Club, bodybuilders.
What else you got?
Um, let's see, got three more. If I wanted to compete in a year from now, what's the first thing you would recommend I do to actually build more muscle?
Coach. Find
Yeah.
muscle.
So I would say, obviously, talk to some coaches, get with somebody you feel comfortable with, hire somebody that can just guide the processes for you, right? Um, from there, right, you're gonna want to obviously go through whatever phases they want you and desire you to go through. So most of the time, right, like Matt or I, we're probably recomping, what would you say, 8 out of 10 people, right? Because most people come in and they're not used to eating 5, 6 meals a day. They're not used to actually like peri-workout structure in terms of like pre and post-workout proper nutrition and eating at set times of the day. And they're not used to that structure, right? That it's going to require. So, we're going to recomp somebody, get the habits starting to go, starting, teach you kind of what checking boxes off each day look like. Um, create those habits and then recomp you, maybe get your metabolism going a little, get you a little hungry. And then from there, we just have a better canvas to work with in terms of building muscle. Um, Also, though, don't rush the process. If like you hire the coach, trust them. If they say, "Hey, we're growing fine," I don't think we need to rush you to get on stage, even though we said it's going to be 12 months and it's 18 months. Just listen and do it, because more time, especially when you're checking the box off and consistent, is only going to benefit you and make you better. You know what I mean? And again, also realize you don't always need to be super lean. Just like you got to be comfortable with eating more. And the bottom line is you got to be able to eat to grow, especially if you're somebody that doesn't have a lot of muscle and looking to compete for the first time. So that's what I would say, where to start. Where to start. Um, do you? I don't. I mean, I guess this is like a okay question. Do you guys have a lot of people that drop out of prep for their first show? If so, what percentage and how close to the show do most drop out that you see? Yeah,
I don't.
I've had a few over like the last 7 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would say like a couple, but it's not. I can't even. I don't even know if they're like first timers or not. It's just it kind of like shit happens, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple where like life, and that's different. Then I've also had probably a handful where like they just couldn't take being hungry and cranky and all that. And like I don't have any sympathy for that. I'm again, it's just me, and I know you're the same way, dude. I'm under the mindset that like when you start something, you should finish it.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Unless like some crate like health shit comes up or like a family member, like that's different. You know what I mean? Like there's a death, that's different. Life's life. It doesn't stop. Life doesn't know you're in contest prep, you know? But like if you're like quitting at 4 weeks out because you're hungry and you haven't had a refeed in fucking 3 weeks and you want to try like the newest fucking Reese's Oreos that come out, like I'm sorry, but you're just weak minded.
Yeah,
You made the decision to start something. Don't put a gun to your head and say like you got to do it, you know? But like finish what you started, then never do it again.
yeah.
That's my opinion.
Agree.
I would say it doesn't happen often though with us.
No, I agree. It's
I think
very
it's
few and
more
far
often that
between.
somebody either cheats in their prep, isn't honest, gets to the show, isn't where we ideally would like them or their best, and then they never do it again. And they are usually the ones that drop off like a month after the show or don't even reverse.
Yeah.
Uh, how do you guys handle a client who isn't fully bought in or starts out with a lot of motivation and then it dips off?
I mean,
So,
I can only lead a horse to water so many times. Like
yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm very supportive of my clients, and I recognize hard work when it's being put in. But if you're somebody where like I'm constantly coming to the well to try to motivate you,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna continue to do that because you're just wasting both of our time. So if you're not listening to the plan because you can't get motivated, that's on you. If I've already put in my beyond my level of effort to motivate you, I can't make you want to do it, you know. So
No.
I will
Yeah.
cut my losses at a certain point. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at some point, it's like we can only follow up. Hey, you missed your check-in. Hey, you know, this, that, or the other. Or, hey, you're missing your cardio. Hey, you know, it's like if it's there's only so long before we're just like, hey, you know, this ain't just ain't for you. You know, maybe
yeah.
you need to
Well,
get your ducks in a row and then
it's
revisit it.
also disrespectful. It's like at a
So
certain point, it's like I
disrespectful.
understand you're paying me, but I'm invested in your success. Like you're hiring me to coach you through a goal that you told me that you had. And I do find it a bit disrespectful that you can't, you know, either at least articulate what's going on your end or why you can't get to the next step if you do have some actual reason behind it. But like the ones that just kind of don't check in and all the shit, like you have to follow up with them. Like this is not how a coach-client relationship goes. Like if you're on a team sport growing up, would you treat your coach with that level of disrespect? And no, you absolutely fucking wouldn't. So show
No.
me the same respect and just be upfront and honest about what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, once in a while, wake up late, you've missed your check-in. 10 out of 10 times, though, our best clients communicate that, and we'll just let them check in late or the next day. But, like, I mean, recently, too, like, I mean, you know, dude, I've buckled down. Like, if your shit's late, I'm not answering it. If your payment does not come out, you got a day to pay me or we're done. Like, I'm not dealing with it. It's disrespectful. It's rude. Most of the time, too, that's not even communicate. If you communicate with us, we're pretty fucking nice people. Like, hey, coach, listen, this came up, I got to pay you Friday when I get paid. Not a problem. But like, if you're like get a new card and you don't let me know, like, do you let your did you tell your rent and your mortgage company? Then or did you tell your phone bill? Then why aren't you telling us it's a bill? You signed up for it. We didn't seek you out. It's just like
Yeah.
it's just disrespectful stuff.
Mhm.
Let's see what else we got. What do you guys think is the most underrated habit for long-term progress? Being consistent. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
Gavin just it says Gavin joined. I like all your bald man reels, Gavin. Makes me feel really special.
all is beautiful.
But it sure is. It sure.
Mhm.
Is Gavin actually like bald?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you, buddy. All right. If somebody's a first-time competitor, what makes you actually decide if they're ready to compete or not? Gavin said, "Holy fucking death face, man."
This year, man. This year to stay for the next 7 6 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Um, what was the question?
If somebody's a first-time competitor, how do you decide if they're truly ready for a contest prep and to compete or not?
All right. So, given that their mental state is all good, they have their financials in order.
Yep.
Has this person put on enough muscle to be competitive? And have I gotten their food up to a respectable enough point that will be able to diet without dieting them into oblivion?
Gavin. It's just such a funny comment. I did not expect him to say that. Glad you feel seen, Steve. That's so funny. But yeah, no, I agree. Have as long as like they can afford it and that's all taken care of.
They're healthy. Well,
They're
yeah,
healthy, their blood work's good, they're not having like their mental health's good. Um, have they actually listened and respected the processes over previous X amount of time? I think that's a big one too, because like if they were listening half-assed the time, what are they going to really do when shit is like getting real in prep? They're probably going to
they're not
cheat and not
listening.
listen.
Yeah.
So provided that, and we know, and we know, we've been doing this long enough to know like who's listening and not. Um, but I would say that would be a big one for me. And then, have they put enough muscle, right? Like when you compare photos from the last 12 months, like when they started, like, okay, they're the same weight, but they visibly are compositionally much different. And sure, you gotta send it at some point and do your first show. You're not gonna build a fucking pro physique by just never competing. There's far
Bro,
and few
I
between.
did my first show when I was 18. I was like
Yeah.
175 pounds. Like,
And me too. You know that.
uh,
It's just, it was what it was. It was like
we also,
155
yeah, we all
fucking
start
pounds.
somewhere.
You got to. And if you're just going to be somebody who's, oh, got to grow more. Of course, we all got to fucking grow more, but you got to do it eventually. You got to get into that deficit. You got to start getting that baby fat off. You got to start getting body fat off. You got to get that experience under your belt. You can't expect the first time you do it, you're just going to hit a home grand slam and go win an overall. Sure, it happens. We've seen it, you and I, but you can't just expect that all the time. You can't because you see somebody else expect that of you. Just everybody's
Mhm.
like you said, everybody starts somewhere. So, um, so this is the last one I got. So, what is a belief that you guys had 5 and 10 years ago that you've completely changed your mind on now? So, I guess something that 5 years ago, I guess when we were 27, that we do different, and then 10 years ago when we were 22. God, dude, that's so crazy to think about 10 years ago.
Just like bodybuilding specific.
I don't know. We could do life and bodybuilding. Sure.
5 years ago,
Sam,
20,
Sam said,
21.
don't say me.
Never, never. 5 years ago. I mean, believed I could
God,
live a happy life in corporate America 5 years ago.
dude,
Definitely
5 years ago
don't.
seems like so long ago, but like it really wasn't. It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Scary to think, dude, just
I
how
mean,
much.
I made a whole career move in three.
Yeah, and I started a whole coaching career. It's just crazy to think, dude. Like in 5 years, I've had 4 kids in the last 5 years.
Hmm.
It's fucking like crazy to think. Oh my God, what have I changed my mind on? I would say in the last 5 years, I've changed my mind on how much bullshit I'm willing to deal with from fucking disrespectful human beings.
Yeah, that's actually definitely true for you for sure.
For sure, bro. Like
Probably my
I
fault.
think I don't think it's a fault. I think it's a very good influence.
Hmm. I
But like
agree.
you and Sam have told me, like you both noticed that. Like even more in the last like 2 years, man. I'm just over disrespectful people. And I think in the last 5 years, if I had to quantify it, that'd be like the biggest thing for me. Other than becoming a dad and that major shift of life as a man, I would say just my patience for disrespect and my ability to say no more has definitely gotten a lot better in the last 5 years. 10 years? Holy shit. Oh
Yeah,
my
I can't
God.
think back that far.
Yeah,
It's too
10
much.
yees is just crazy. It's
I was
we
a whole
look
different
back.
person 10 years ago.
I was gonna say when I was 22, I was just a completely different person. Now that's life. I would say from a bodybuilding perspective, from 10 years ago, definitely I would have rested more for sure. And I would have not been fucking squatting and deadlifting the way I did.
Yeah, agreed.
That for sure. The last 5 years, just really gathering what true mind muscle connection is.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that's all I had. They're good questions.
Yeah, good, because I'm not falling asleep over here, so it's
You
time
gotta
for
go
me to
eat,
go.
bro. It's
Yeah,
time.
I gotta get
We get
fucking.
Matt for an hour until prep's done, and then maybe we'll get like maybe we'll get like an hour 15 minutes from us both.
All right, guys. Bye.